When my neighbor Delilah Thornburg destroyed my mailbox for the 7th time in 2 months, I knew it wasn't about mail anymore, it was war. She thought she was smashing wood. What she didn't know was that I was about to build her the mailbox of her nightmares out of solid steel. It started early one morning. The air smelled like wet asphalt and diesel exhaust. My handcrafted oak mailbox, my grandfather's design, something I'd spent 3 weekends perfecting, was gone. Splintered across the road like confetti after a hurricane. Coffee slipped from my hand, shattered against the driveway, burning my ankles, but the real heat was building in my chest. Because there she was. Delilah. Perfect hair. White Escalade, fresh dent in her bumper backing out of her driveway like she didn't just commit property homicide. I'm Marcus Hendress, 52. Retired Navy Seabee, spent half my life building airstrips under fire. I moved to Willowbrook subdivision for peace and quiet. Bought a small ranch house, maple trees, good light. I thought it'd be a fresh start. I didn't realize I was moving into a dictatorship disguised as a homeowners association. Willowbrook looked perfect from the outside. Identical mailboxes, trimmed hedges, 3 approved paint colors, beige sage and slightly different beige. And at the top of this suburban monarchy sat Delilah Thornburg, self-appointed enforcer of community harmony. She was the kind of woman who smiled like she was cutting glass, real estate agent, HOA treasurer, queen of control. The day we met, I was installing my grandfather's mailbox. She appeared behind me, heels clicking on gravel. "Excuse me," she said, voice like honey poured over broken glass. "That mailbox isn't in compliance." I told her I'd rated the bylaw's height setback material all within limits. She gave me that frozen smile. "Perhaps you misunderstood the aesthetic guidelines. We maintain certain standards here. Property values, you understand." The word standards dripped with something uglier. She wasn't just talking about wood and paint. She was talking about me, the new blue-collar guy in her white-collar paradise. I told her the mailbox stays. She pursed her lips. "We'll see about that." And 3 days later, it was rubble. I called the police. Officer Martinez showed up, took notes and sighed. "Without witnesses or video, it's just," he said, she said. I could see it in his face. He knew, but he couldn't touch her. Then the letter came. Thick cream paper, gold-embossed header. Thornburg and Associates, Legal Consulting. It accused me of violating community harmony standards, fines of $500 a day. I laughed once, bitter and dry. You learn in the Navy when someone tries to intimidate you with paperwork, it usually means they're bluffing. So I went digging. County courthouse public records, dusty files that smelled like mildew and old ambition. Turns out the original Willowbrook bylaws hadn't changed since 1987. Any rule updates required 60% homeowner approval. Delilah's new standards never voted on. She'd been running her own little regime illegally. That's when backup arrived. Ruth Kowalski, 78, retired paralegal, sharper than a scalpel. She showed up at my door with oatmeal cookies and a folder thicker than a Bible. "Thought you might need this," she said, dropping it on my table. Inside, years of notes, photos, recordings. She's been doing this for years. Forces people out, buys their homes cheap, through her company, flips them for profit. Same pattern every time. My stomach turned. This wasn't personal harassment. It was organized corruption. I rebuilt my mailbox again, same design, but this time I hid a camera inside. 4 days later, it caught Delilah's Escalade in glorious HD glory. Midnight. Headlights off. She swung a bat like a professional hitter. 2 minutes, and my work was gone again. But her dented bumper gleamed clear in the footage. When I showed it to Officer Martinez, he exhaled through his teeth. "You've got something real here." But before I could celebrate, things got worse. A petition appeared on my door. Community demands action against disruptive neighbor. 12 signatures, half forged, I'd bet money. The city started calling. Noise complaints, business license checks, code enforcement. Every department in town seemed to think I was running a meth lab in my garage. I stopped sleeping. Started doubting myself. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I didn't belong here. One night, staring at the wreckage of my latest mailbox, I thought about selling the house. Let her win. Just disappear. Then Jorge Santos knocked. My neighbor 2 houses down, cybersecurity guy. Marcus, you should see this, he said, leading me into his garage. He pulled up footage from his Ring cameras, Delilah going door to door, clipboard in hand, spinning stories about me. Told people you were some ex-military nutcase running illegal construction out of your garage. He grinned, tapping his keyboard. Lucky for you, I'm paranoid. Everything's backed up. That night, Ruth, Jorge, and I sat in my garage surrounded by coffee cups and piles of evidence. She's cornered herself, Ruth said. She's using fake data, fake votes, fake rules. All we need is the right stage to expose her. We didn't wait long. Delilah called an emergency community safety meeting. The room was packed. She stood up front, perfect hair gleaming under fluorescent lights, projecting slides of my house like I was a wanted criminal. Multiple violations, she said. Non-conforming structures, aggressive behavior, threat to property values. Then Ruth's voice sliced through the air. Point of order. I demand to see the data behind those claims. Delilah's smile flickered. Mrs. Kowalski, this isn't... Because according to the real MLS data, Ruth said, slamming papers on the table, property values have risen 12% since Mr. Hendress moved in. Gasps. Murmurs. Then Jorge stood. Prestige Properties. Delilah's company just bought 3 houses here below market value. Funny coincidence, huh? I stepped forward, voice steady. And here's the original 1987 bylaws proving 90% of your rules are fake. The room exploded, people shouting, demanding answers. Delilah's mask cracked, her voice shaking as she tried to regain control. You're all being manipulated. That's when I played the recording. Her voice saying, if we can't move Hendress's property within 60 days, we'll need to consider more direct action. Silence. Then chaos. The Queen's crown had just fallen off. After that night, she went nuclear. My truck tires slashed. Anonymous code inspectors knocking at dawn. Then a court order signed by her golf buddy, Judge Peyton, barring me from HOA meetings and labeling my property a safety risk. I was furious, but also done being the victim. Ruth studied the documents, muttering, they're using the law as a weapon. Jorge scrolled through his footage, Delilah visiting the same 12 houses that signed the affidavit. She's coercing them, he said. Blackmail threats, maybe property tax hikes. Then the call came from Detective Sarah Morrison with the State Attorney General's office. We've been watching her too, she said. 7 communities, same scam. We're ready to move you. Just need to give her enough rope to hang herself. So I built the trap. My final mailbox, marine-grade steel, welded tight as a tank. Hidden sensors, cameras, GPS, police alerts, all perfectly within HOA guidelines. From the outside, it looked just like my grandfather's original. Inside it was Fort Knox. A week later, I woke to the sound of engines. Delilah's Escalade leading 2 trucks, tree service demolition crew. She stepped out in designer work clothes, clipboard in hand. Morning, Marcus, she called sweetly. Emergency HOA maintenance. Removing hazardous structures. She waved official-looking permits. Those are fake, I said. They're signed by Judge Peyton himself. Her smile could cut glass. And if you interfere, it's contempt of court. She'd thought of everything, almost. I picked up my phone and said one sentence, the package is being delivered as scheduled. Within 30 seconds, unmarked sedans rolled in from both ends of the street. Men and women in plain suits stepped out flashing badges that made her paperwork look like tissue. The demolition crew froze. Delilah hissed, "Start cutting." The first hammer strike rang against my mailbox like a church bell, pure steel, not a dent. The second blow snapped the hammer handle clean. Sparks flew. Then a voice thundered across the street. "Delilah Thornburg, you are under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and civil rights violations under color of law." Detective Morrison stepped forward, badge gleaming. Delilah went pale. "This is harassment. I have permits." "Fake ones," Morrison replied, holding up a federal warrant. "You obtained them through fraudulent representation. That's a felony." Neighbors poured out of their houses. 40 people who'd once whispered about me now stood watching their self-appointed queen crumble. Ruth arrived, evidence folder in hand. Jorge's cameras caught every second. Cornelius Blackwood, HOA president, screeched around the corner in his BMW. "Delilah, what the hell?" Mr. Blackwood Morrison interrupted. "You're under arrest as well. Conspiracy and aiding fraud. The demolition foreman tried to slip away, but an agent stopped him. "You too, Mr. Torres. Destruction of property." News vans showed up. Channel 7's reporter pointed a mic at me. "Mr. Hendress, how did this all start?" I looked at my scarred steel mailbox still standing like a metallic middle finger to tyranny. "It started with a mailbox," I said, "but it was never really about wood or steel. It was about one person abusing power because she thought no one would fight back." Delilah screamed from the back of the federal car. "You people have no idea what you've done. Property values will collapse." And for the first time, the entire neighborhood laughed. The truth is, she never cared about property values. She cared about control. And when control is all someone has the moment you stop fearing them, they lose everything. Lesson: sometimes you have to build something unbreakable to break the people who think they are.